Okay, time for the next part. As you can see, getting dark. We're in the garage now. The rain started to come down, so I had to move everything inside. Remember in the previous videos we started showing a good way to remove. Showed a good way to remove this caliper. Simply do a cut in here. It doesn't affect the bike in any way, its function at all, none at all. And you can sand it down now aesthetically pleasing, like as if it's meant to be there, so that's not a problem at all. And it allows this to be removed with utmost ease now without any concerns, so bonus. Also, as I said, we're replacing the caliper here because my previous one, the boot in here, was completely seized. I've just applied some release spray and given it some heat treatment, and we're going to let it cool down for a bit and rinse and repeat a few times, and maybe we'll be able to get ours out and see what. Obviously it's just corroded in there and completely seized up. Maybe we'll get it out, maybe not, but got this one all done. As I said, the piston on this one a bit worse wear, same around the seal here. It could do with a replacement, but I've got to wait for the kit to arrive, and until that arrives this will work fine for now. As we saw when we were in the early videos of pumping it, and still goes back in, so it still functions as it should, so this will do for now. As they say, this is just for installation, so we just grab the correct bits, grease, normal grease, copper grease, brake pads, and we just found some brake pads. Because previously before, I tried to fit new pads and just didn't work, unfortunately, so I think now we should be able to get away with this. I should get it to work this time. Okay, I think that's the correct set, yeah. Goes together just about right. Got two pairs here. Just trying to see which one matches to which. Because even though they're the same, some manufacturers might make them a bit smaller. I mean, this is what we'll talk about when it comes to eye to detail. If you can see there, just showing the camera. See how there's a line up like that. See, this is a pad from another set. See that? Slight bit of size difference. I mean, it wouldn't matter really, but if you really did care about things, and same with functional bikes, I mean, everything else here is all the same, it's just the meat on the pad is a little bit bigger and beefier. Yeah, it just goes to show how you can match up pads quite easily, because sometimes they're cut to the same piece. But seeing as that's the case, I'll go with these two, because they match up nicely. So we have them at the ready. Back the pads away. Okay, so first things first, we want to put some grease in these boots. So, bit of good axle grease, that's what you need, good axle grease, and just take a double, throw it in there, take a double, throw it in there, like so. Don't put too much in, but a nice good amount, especially if you just clean them all out. So obviously inside here you want them to be nice and greasy and be able to move with ease. The second part is going to be a nice clean boot slider. And that, same again. Try and keep gritty grease going in, but same with this piece. Give that a nice smothering in the copper grease. Not copper grease, sorry, this would be like axle grease, like synthetic racing grease. It's what I got. Bearing grease, what you put on bearing, stuff like that. You try and keep this stuff away from the rest of the brake system. The rest of the brake system you'll be using copper grease, but for these bits, it's best to use this kind of grease. Much more advisable. See, we've got a little hole there, so a whole little oven with some, fill that up with some greases. So. Right, and that bit. So we'll just pop that in there. Do it slowly, because any excess grease can work its way out. Do it a few times because it allows grease to get in there. Nice and coat the grease, went nice and slippy in there. Do it a few times. Work the grease into the metal and what's in there. I can understand why it's happened, because on the bottom line on most it's a rubber insert and this will slide in the rubber. Back here it's all bare metal, so as soon as it corrodes the two go together and seize together very nicely. So, get a good turn in there, push. You can hear it now. Doing nicely. Like that. Wipe any excess off, bring it in. Use just some warrior now, so I don't want this one to seize up on me either. So you do it a few times and get to the right stage. There we go. That feels nice now. That feels much better. So one more time. That feels much better now. There we go. So I'll just give it a spin, make sure it's in this boot properly. There we go. I see, as you can see on here, that movement, that was not happening on mine. Make sure it is in the boot. Yeah, this movement was not visible on mine in the slightest. You'll also be putting some on the other boot slider where that goes in, but we don't do that just yet. To be fair, we can do it now if we wanted to. There's that piece. Actually, I'll just pristine, the other side was just, yes, okay, we'll use my piece. Right, just try and move as much of that as I could. Now from here, as I said, the beauty about being able to remove this without removing the rear wheel is this grease can now should be able to go on the bench. We don't need it anymore. As for the brake, all we need now is just the copper grease, which is underneath us. Actually, we do need this just to swap things over like so. So that's somewhere to rest it. But from here now, pretty much all copper grease. And a bit around it, around the piston edge, around it. And the back wall. You probably want to put a bit there because there's a clip that goes there. Same on there. You don't want this thread seizing up. Same there because you don't want that thread seizing up either. To be honest, you could probably put a little bit just on there. See, then it means that slides out a lot easier. The annoying thing is, I already had a go at looking up the replacement, that piece there, that boot slider there. Now I can get another one of these and that bit of rubber, not a problem. Same with the replacement seal kit, not a problem. I've managed to find them bits, but actually finding that, I've had no luck. No luck. It's just unique to this caliper. I've even had a word with one of my guys at work, and he's just a wizard on a lathe, so if anyone can make it, it was him. And they asked him, and unfortunately, because it's not something he's made before, although he's got one in front of him, it'd take him probably an hour or two to make it, and can't exactly be done during work hours. So I'd have to commit, like I'd have to basically go to the manager and commission the job to get it done, and probably what I'd end up paying, I mean, even though they'd do me a good price, what I'd probably end up paying to do that, it's probably just worth getting a new caliper altogether. So let's see, how's it going on now? And this is how it should work. As you can see, boot slider moves, boot slider moves. That's what should be happening. Because it's cooled down a bit now. You can see I've just tried taking some heat to it, but it's a little success. And as you can see, my boot slider completely, utterly locked. It just does not move. I've not been able to get it to budge, and it's just stuck in a certain position. Yeah, it's pretty much just stuck in the out position, and it won't go back in. I've tried and tried and tried and tried and tried, but I just can't few fire treatments, leave it to soak, etc. Maybe it will come out, but possibly toast all over one little part. Cause what I could actually do is, I've got, you know, like a stud extractor or an impactor or grander, as I like to call it, and that will just go on, it'll grab it ultra tight, this stud here, and we'll actually be able to twist and free it out. But because I can't get the replacement part, it means it still does mean this is completely kaputski. However, that's what I might have to do in order to remove it, and I may be able to redeem the rest of the caliper, and hopefully upon deeper digging and looking I should be able to get another one. Or in time I might be able to have a go and make one myself. But we shall see. Anyway, for now, back to rebuilding. Back to rebuilding. So move things over here. So we can see where's the wheel. There we go. Hopefully my HUD's not in this one. Right, for now, caliper's done. Yeah, all done. I digress. It's getting late. I want beddy buys. I just want this bar back together. Pads, 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 pads. I need a bit more copper grease for this job. It's slim, so you dash bit on the back of the pads. There's also plates here. I've been told you can operate the brake okay without this, but I'll just keep it in place now anyway. We've got it, so I may as well. All I should do is just bring them in a little bit. Just bring them in a little bit so they give a bit of a tight beep, a tighter fit. Let's do it. Yeah, that makes it nice tight. You do much. From, as I said, Benelli TNT 125s, they're phenomenal bikes, but the downfall is that they were designed by the Italians and built, and if that weren't bad enough, they were built by the Chinese. So a lot of the parts ain't up to a very high standard, unfortunately. See that? That's a much tighter fit. There we go. That's a much better fit. I'll put a little bit on the back. Yeah. Back of this, because this is where things will be sliding. Dab, 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 dabble, dabble, dab, dab. That's that. We've already got the plates on the back, so it's not too much of a problem. There's just a bit of cord in there. That can be easily. Need more brake cleaner as always. Brake cleaner, good stuff, just beyond brakes, yeah, but it's expensive stuff, like £4 or £5 a tin. There we go. Found a working one. One and a half tins of brake cleaner. Wee, whippy. Whippy yippee. Got all sorts over there. Anyways, popping it on now. So that's in place, that's in place. So see, we've got a metal plate back here as well, so I was just attending to there. So, I'll record, I'm not any brilliant person on the camera or anything, but you could call me a Mr. Bean if you want. Mr. Bean does bikes. Could have that. Bean does bikes. There's a metal plate back here, metal plate here that you need to be aware of, and that'll just be a case of slipping it back on. In you go. It's a bit of a tight wiggle, but it does go in. There we go. So in this one it does move, but it's stiff in there, that's all. It's probably a bit cut at that, never mind. So all we do for refitment, bring it like so. So it's the same when I'm videoing. I try not to pause so people can actually see the realistics of bikes and the actual struggles, where people just say, oh, I'll skip to this or I'll skip to that. Certain bits I try to, but right, from here, as you can see now, that's back on, that's in there, and all we got to do is screw that back into there, again 12. Put it back into place, go left, or line it up, and then I'd say take about 2 turns left, and there you go, you just saw that. That should mean you don't cross thread it. That's not what you want to do. You should be able to wiggle it as you're doing it, and if you are going to cross thread it, sometimes you can't even tell it's happening, especially like this, but that feels about right to me. It's the worst thing when you're having to screw things like this, because it can be quite easy to cross thread. I think I've scaved it on this occasion. Yeah, we've scaved it. Definitely does not feel cross threaded. Nah. Good. As you can see here, this is out. So all we've got to do is get this one back in. This is probably the worst part, I'm hoping, to reinstall this. Tedious, but yes, I can see that's just fell off. As I say to everyone, I'm Italians built by the Chinese. It's a bad recipe. It's not a good recipe. And as I've worked on this bike, I can see a lot of poor quality build on it. It is quite a poor, low quality build. So it does quite a lot of maintenance, even though you can see it's quite dirty. As you can see, I do quite make sure the internals and the bits where it matters are clean. This axle is completely pristine. You wouldn't think how pristine it is, same with a lot of the other bits. Try to keep the rest, all the internal bits, the bits that matter, clean. Cosmetic wise, I ain't too bothered. She's a smart doggy. As you can see, that's what it should be doing. See that movement? That's just as important to have as all everything else on a brake system to be clean and working. That is what it should be like. It's beautiful, that. Whereas as before, was basically happening on mine when I fitted it all back together is the pad in the back that was just wiggling there. I was really getting worried if it was actually just going to dislodge and fall out and lock up the rear wheel. That'd been completely horrific. But every time it was braking, basically, as you're pulling the brake in, it was just basically doing that. This one was free. This one was absolutely free. That bit is from here. That was free. This is seized. And it was doing that, and this rear pedal was just flopping down, like, doing nothing. And didn't want to risk this being warped, didn't want to risk a rear wheel lock up, so she had to be put aside, she had to be put out of service. Now, yeah, she seems all good. Let's put that back in place now. We might need to bleed that later again, but for now we're all good. There's the pads, and a bit of copper grease. Smother at the back, smother at the back, smother here, because it's going to do some movement. Where the pad is going to have some movement, apply some copper grease. Same here. We're just going to slide on the brake pen with the copper grease. Same on the back. And then now, what I should be able to do, because I wasn't able to do this before, is, just before I do double check if it's been tightened up, I do want to make sure everything's tight. See where it's tight, just snip that up. And this is the same again. I might need to do it, I'm going to want to do this again at a later date, so I'll snag it up but not too ridiculously. That'll do me, I think. Yeah, that'll do me. Look at that. Same again, actually, you got the nut at the back. There's my nut. I'll just find my nut. Right there. There we go, here's my nut. Dowel a bit around there, do yourself a favour. So again, that's at the back. So you just gotta reach in. You'll find it. Give it a push if you feel it, if you can't. And the same again. Screw left until you hear your, just about there. You'll hear like a click. Probably didn't hear it, but you'll hear a click. When you're putting a screw on, turn it lefty until you kind of hear a click, and it'll click in, fitment into place. Then go right, and you kind of, that will mean you actually clicked it in right, and there should be no cross thread, no cross threading. There we go. From here it's going to get a bit tricky, so you get your 13. Go backwards, make sure it's properly seated, sorry. It's an awkward one to get to. But it's still a lot less awkward than taking off the rear wheel. So, I mean, I took a while to film this. I just wanted to make sure this is all done right. A normal caliper service will not take this long. And obviously, trying to film at the same time, it always takes a little bit longer than what you would expect it to. Yeah, been joined by a bite by a bug. Mate, bugger off you. I'm running that way. There's a spider guardian. Yeah, just make sure it's snicked off. There we go. That's nice. That's wait, so bad. Just slid it off the bloody, what's it? There we go, back on. Just try and make sure that boot is on as it should be. A few bumps and you'll pop it on and get it back as far as you need to. Right, now we can carry on with the pads. It's all done. Bit of discus there, bit of discus there. Dude. So I think what we can do is actually to make the boot slider slide. I need to test this. It's just a theory I've had. Although it's in there, I should. Okay, that's like that. With that. Just gotta try and mate. I'm just worried about them boots staying where they are, but I think they're looking good. There we go, that's the best. Right. Take the pads, and hopefully now. It works. You can actually fit padding both sides this time. Whereas before that didn't happen. So yeah, you get padding that time. Same at the back. Whereas before this didn't happen. I wasn't able to get this far. And the only thing left is put your pin back in. God, I just want to go to bed. Such a long week.
You should be able to see just at the back. It's hard to see, but right at the bottom, just at the back, you'll be able to see whether it'll fit into the
That metal plate at the back. You'll see where it is. You have to kind of feel it and gauge it where it is. You'll know when it's in there. Once it is, just kind of support them up like that. And take your pin, run it through. So, as you can see, jobs are good, and that's how it should all end up. Previously, it did not happen that way. The same with this bolt, you just want to give it a little snig, like so. There we go.
and now it is on the bike again. To make sure this is fitted as it should be.
It looks okay, I think. Go with that. Give this a little snig, back up to 12 now. 12. No, it was a 14, my bad, 14, my bad. My bad. Need to right tie. While it's on the bike and now if it's tight in place, you can always just check, give that a little snig. See that? That was just a little snig. That was the bit of extra what's it you need. That was the crush washer, just these two actually finally compacting. Now got everything sealed, everything's in place. From here pumpy. Always do this when you've just changed your pads. Before you ride the bike, before it goes anywhere, pump the brake. Otherwise you're going to go riding down the road. You're going to come to a junction or whatever, you're going to need to slow down, and what's going to happen is, nothing's going to happen. And then you've got to pump it several times, as you can see, like so. Keep checking your fluid level. And now, as you can see, there's a bit more resistance to it. Just got to keep pumping a few times. Just do it a few times. As you can see, the more you do it, the better it gets. And then from here, what I'll probably do, I mean, I'm going to pretty much end recording here. I'll just do it one quick last time. Now everything's done, I mean, you wouldn't need to do this really. If you're doing a caliper service, normally all that would be involved is, as I said, you take the caliper off. Sometimes it depends on how seized or how sticky it is in there, because most of the time you can just take this out. You wouldn't even need to take the caliper off out sometimes. It depends how deep you want to go, but generally when I change brake pads, you may as well clean the caliper and clean the insides, and you can't really do it while it's on there. Now we've got that, we can take it off with a lot more ease, and you clean it all up, then you can change your pads and put it all back together. Normally if you took this to a garage, to a mech shop, and you asked to change the pads, that's literally what they would do. They would undo this bolt, it come out, to pull these pads out, put the new one, well, try and get this piston back in if they can, and they probably won't give it a good clean up, so it's going to damage your seals anyway. Put your new what sits in, and that's it. They won't do that. They might not tend to these. They might not tend much to your piston. They're just going to swap the pads, and that is so important. It all needs to have some movement. These things, as you can see, it all needs to have a little bit of movement, and just doing it like nice and simple. If you just took the pads off, whip new ones in, and don't bother to do all that, this is how these start seizing up and ending like that. And he's just absolutely stuck in there. But yeah, that's all that done. Bleed it off real quick, just put all this back in place. Din-din's in bed. And tomorrow we've got to put her all back together. Basically, I've changed the thermostat. It's a new thermostat now in there. Well, newer. So 2009 with, I think it's about 13 or 19,000 on it. So all in mint condition. It looks a lot better. Everything's in a lot better condition, or working much better than mine is. Nothing wrong with her thermostat, but may as well. And obviously that job's all been done. It's just a case of putting everything back together now, but it's just been such a job. I don't have time to do it. Same with the coolant. I've got to fill the coolant back in. It's just a lot of work at the minute. Little time to be able to do it. So hopefully we get to finish that one off tomorrow anyway. So now for me, I'm done. I'm out.